and extend a warm and hearty welcome to the speaker and all of you to Professor Dr. S. Raghavachari 11th Endowment Lecture. Today, I am very happy to be associated with this memorable event. I am glad to inform that the Telangana State Center of the Institution of Engineers India have been conducting regularly these endowment lectures. Totally, there are 21 endowment lectures being organized by our center. They are engineer reviews, that is in the honor of eminent engineers like Engineer V. Subbarao, Engineer M. Tripati Reddy, Professor G. Gopichand, Dr. J. Purushottam, Engineer G. Prabhakar, Engineer Koka Krishnamohan Rao, Engineer S. Balakrishna Reddy, Engineer G. V. Subbarao, Engineer T. Hanumantarao, Engineer A. P. Hanumantachari, Ranganatha Swami, Engineer Dr. S. Raghavachari, Dr. Nalla Tatarao, Engineer Matur Gopal Rao, Engineer Gurram Kodireddy, Engineer Attur Venkateswar Rao, Engineer R.L. Raju, Dr. John A. Murray, Dr. N.V. R.L.N. Rao, Engineers L. Venkatakrishna Iyer, K.V. Srinivasa Rao, and M.L. Swami, Dr. A. Ramakrishna, and Engineer I. Basavarazu Endowment Lectures. I take this opportunity to say a few words about veteran Professor Dr. S. Raghavachari Garu. Sir Chari was born in Chetlamupparam, a small village in Manukota Taluka of Warangal district on the 15th August 1939 to Srimati Lakshmi Narsamma and Sri Appalacharyalu. By noticing the brilliance of childhood, Professor Chari, his material uncle, his maternal uncle, Sri Appalacharyalu, who was a dedicated school teacher and translated Srimad Bhagavad Gita into Urdu, brought him to Hyderabad and took the responsibility of his education and made him a brilliant civil engineer. Professor Chari graduated from Usmania University, topping the university in 1959, and obtained his postgraduate degree in highway engineering by topping the Roorkee University, which was the first engineering college in India in 1996. Subsequently, while he was at a regional engineering college, that is popular as REC Warangal, obtained the Doctor of Philosophy degree from Roorkee University in 1976 under QIP program. Professor Chari was the first professional to gain a PhD in transportation engineering from an Indian university. Professor Chari had extraordinary brain which could understand any subject and master the same within no time. I have his seniors telling that if you want to learn anything, any new subject, take the book on the subject and give to Professor Chari and go to him after a week. He will educate you and make you a master in the subject. So that is the greatness of Professor S. Raghavachari Garu. Professor Chari served as a faculty member at Usmania University and REC Warangal, imparting education and training to the students in the field of civil engineering and mostly in transport engineering and planning. And though personally I am telling, though he belongs to civil engineering department, he worked as a dean and he gained the hearts of all the students. Fortunately, I was also a student during his tenure as the dean in REC Warangal. Professor Chari was not simply a professor, but ardent practicing professional. In addition to his normal teaching load at REC Warangal, undertook the challenging task of preparing comprehensive transportation plan, which include today's MRT corridors in the form of LRT corridors to serve the transportation needs of Hyderabad up to 2000 AD. Even after superannuation, he served the profession by leading The team of expatriates in the preparation of comprehensive transportation plan for Mumbai metropolitan region, recommending network of mass transit systems to achieve integrated development of mainland and island city of Mumbai. Professor Chari was an involved researcher in the field of transportation engineering and planning and contributed more than 100 research papers in guided fruitfully more than a dozen research scholars obtaining doctoral degrees. Professor Chari was a member of many central and state committees. He was bestowed with Bharat Ratna Mokshagundam Visvesvaraya Award for his contributions in the field of civil and transportation engineering in the year 1993 and Best Teacher Award for his contribution in education of the engineering graduates in the year 1995. Above all, Professor Chari was a personified human being. According to me, he is Ajatasatru, who loved everyone and loved by everyone. So mutually it is there because of his humanity. He is loved by everybody. As student of Professor Chari, yes, I am. Yes, I already told. I am very proud that he was my guru who lit light to dive away darkness in me like in many of his students. I am sure wherever his soul is, it will be blessing his students and associates. Professor Dr. S. Raghavachari Endowment Lecture approved by the erstwhile AP State Center Committee and conducting from 2015 onwards on his birthday, that is 15th August every year. The endowment lectures are being delivered by people of high eminence with considerable professional experience to throw light on important emerging topics of today's relevance. Today, Telangana State Center arranged Professor Dr. S. Raghavachari 11th Endowment Lecture on the topic You Are a Pedestrian. Who Cares? By Professor Dr. D.P. Bhanumurthy. On behalf of the Telangana State Center of IEI and on my own behalf, I once again extend a hearty welcome to the keynote speaker, Professor Dr. R.P. Bhanumurthy Garu, and all of you. I have already invited and Engineer M. Champrasad Reddy, our council member, joined just now, so extend a warm welcome for him also. So, thank you, one and all. Now, I request the convener of the event, Professor Dr. Ramna Nayak Banuthu, to introduce our keynote speaker. Sir, please.
Thank you, Chairman, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Venkatesubbu, thank you. It's a great privilege to introduce our eminent professor, Professor P.R. Bhanumurthy Garu. Sir, P.R. Bhanumurthy sir was born in June 6, 1962 and studied BTech in Sri Venkateswara Tirupati 1983 with first class and distinction, MTech Transport Engineering from REC Warangal, and doctorate in JNT Hyderabad. Sir is a member in several, like a list of engineers, life member in the Indian Road Congress, IST, and also
invited historic launch of the Padmashali.
Yes, sir, having more than half century national interest.
And happy if you are very brief, sir.
Yes, I'm brief, sir. Yeah, sir, professor in civil engineering and academic experience of more than 35 years. Presently, sir, chairman of Board of Studies in civil engineering JNT Anantapur and acted examiner in NIT Calicut, NIT University, and also Andhra University, Kakatiya, Nagarjuna, Geetam, and OU. Authored several books and a member of so many academic years. So today is a very good day, sir. Having a area of experience, main traffic is very important nowadays, not only in Hyderabad, Tirupati, and Anantapur, and Chennai, Delhi, all metropolitan city every day is very important topic, sir. Sir, word of topic is very important. I myself shortcut and welcome, sir. Happy Independence Day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Ramna Nayak Garu, Chairman-elect. Now I request our speaker Manumurthy Garu to present his lecture. Sir, please, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. First of all, I would like to extend my thanks to Dr. G. Venkat Subbaya Garu, Chairman, IEA Telangana State Center, Professor Dr. Ramnanayak Bhanuvath Garu, Chairman-elect and convener of this event, Dr. K. Sitaram Babu Garu, Honorary Secretary, IEA Telangana State Center, and all other distinguished council members, eminent engineers, professionals of various departments who have joined this meeting virtually, and my colleagues, Dr. Nagaprasad Naidu and Dr. Dev Kumar, who is chairman of AP State Institution of Engineers. He is also present today. And I'm happy that daughter of my guru, Sumana, she is also present in this meeting. So I thank all of you for giving me this opportunity. In fact, this is the greatest privilege and honor I feel that I am invited to give a lecture in memory of my great guru, Professor S. RAGHAVACHARI. And indeed, this event of giving Professor S. RAGHAVACHARI 11th Endowment Lecture today, I will cherish for my lifetime, because he is not only my guru, whatever I am today is because of him. I always used to say, నా జీవితం ఆయన పెట్టినటువంటి భిక్ష, ప్రొఫెసర్ రాఘవాచారి గారు పెట్టినటువంటి భిక్ష నా జీవితం అని నేను ఎప్పుడూ చెప్తూ ఉంటాను. సో with these few words, thanking everyone for giving me this opportunity, I will start presenting, because I will try to complete at the most within 1 hour. So I will share my screen. Okay, I will. Okay, now please pardon me a moment. I am starting to share my screen, my entire screen. Share. Sir, I hope my screen is visible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Visible.
Yes, sir.
Sir, first of all,
Yes, sir.
Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheswara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. I offer my salutations and pranams to the lotus feet of my Guru, Professor S. RAGHAVACHARI. I hope he will bless me on this occasion, and with his blessings, I start my lecture. So my lecture is, you are a pedestrian who cares. I have chosen this topic because I want to examine today how Indian cities have forgotten the most fundamental users of urban space, that is, people who walk. So now, these are the fundamental users of urban space. I would like to quote a few of the statements given by eminent urban planners, and I will tell you what is the relevance of these quotes. First of all, I quote John Gale, who is Danish architect and urban design consultant. He says, first life, then spaces, then buildings. The other way around never works. End of the quote. Now, what John Gale is talking about is the way urban planning should be. First, we should plan for this life, then for the spaces, then the buildings. But all of you know that what we are doing is in the reverse way. Now, I would like to quote Jeff Speck, an American city planner and urban designer, a part of his quotation. I quote, "Most American cities have been designed or redesigned principally around the assumption of universal automotive use, resulting in obligatory car ownership, typically one per adult, starting at age 16. In these cities and in most of our nation, the car is no longer an instrument of freedom, but rather a bulky, expensive, and dangerous prosthetic device, a prerequisite to viable citizenship." Now, this is the quote by Jeff Speck, an American city planner. Now, what he is trying to do, what he is trying to convey here is, car, when it was invented, it was seen as an instrument of freedom because it offered mobility for the people to move with high speeds. So car was seen as an instrument of freedom. But now that car itself has become a case in American cities. If you don't have a car in American cities, you cannot move. Your mobility gets curtailed. If you don't have a car, you are crippled. So he is comparing the car to a bulky, expensive, and dangerous prosthetic device, an artificial limb. Now, why I am quoting this here is, most of our metropolitan cities are trying to imitate the Western cities, and we have also reached this stage, even in cities like Hyderabad. Now, lastly, I would like to quote Janet Sadiq Khan. She was the former New York Transportation Commissioner. She said a very simple statement, but very profound statement. Everyone is a pedestrian at some point. So this is the quote by Janet Sadiq Khan. Now, all these quotes have got very profound and deeper thinking behind them. But the question is, are we listening to them? You may ask, okay, why should we listen to some Danish architect, some American planner, some American... What is that they have got to do with India? We have our own systems. We have our own codes. Why should we take their codes? Now, let me tell you, John Gale, whose quote I have first given, is a Danish architect, and he is a well-known urban design consultant in Copenhagen. He worked in many cities. I don't read all those things, whatever are written about him. He has been instrumental in shaping the various public spaces in New Zealand and Australia. He worked with many cities like Melbourne, Perth, Adelaide, Sydney, Auckland, Wellington, Christchurch, Launceston, and Hobart. He worked in London. He worked in New York. So he is well versed with all those cities. He is a very good urban transportation planner. Now, Jeff Speck, I have quoted, stating that car is an artificial limb-like prosthetic device. Now, who is this Jeff Speck? He is an American city planner, and he is championing the cause of walkable cities. He is famous for his 2012 book, Walkable City, How Downtown Saves America. We can find him giving lectures in TED Talks about walkable cities. Now, Janet Sadiq Khan. She is a former commissioner of New York City Department of Transportation between the years 2007 and 2013. And she serves as the chairperson for the National Association of City Transportation Officials which is a coalition of transportation departments of 40 large cities throughout America. So during her tenure as the New York Transportation Commissioner, she changed the landscape of New York significantly by championing the cause of pedestrians, by converting the road space into bike lanes and into pedestrian areas, especially Broadway near Times Square, famous Times Square in New York, and Herald Square. So these people whom I have quoted, they are not ordinary people. They are the people who have worked in the field of transportation and urban planning and who are championing the cause of pedestrians with a slogan that we should have walkable cities and livable cities. Now, all of us have some kind of idea or assumption that European cities and American cities have got very good pedestrian facilities. Of course, it is true also. Now, when they are having so good pedestrian infrastructure, even when they are claiming for walkable cities, they are finding fault with their city's planning, then compared to them, where are we? I think this is some kind of food for our thought. When the urban planners in America, urban planners in Europe themselves are saying that our planning is not proper, we have to take care of the pedestrian, then what should we do in India where the pedestrian is grossly neglected? So that is the idea with which I want to give this lecture. That is the food for thought for all of us today. Now, actually, there are two approaches to look at pedestrian. One is from the point of view of transportation engineer. I am a transportation engineer. I had the fortune of learning the subject from great Rishi, Professor RAGHAVACHARI. But there is also another perspective to look at the pedestrian from the urban planner. Say an urban planner does not look at the equations, does not look at the technical aspects. Urban planner is more worried about arrangement of spaces in the urban area. Whereas a transportation engineer normally looks at the statistics, figures, numbers, and then he will specify what should be done. Now, I'm combining both this perspective in my lecture today with a slightly more inclination towards the urban planner. You can say that I'm talking more like a social activist rather than an engineer. That's why you don't find any technical content in my lecture. You don't find any complicated mathematical equations. You will only find some thought-provoking, provocative statements sometimes, rather. So, if we talk about pedestrians in our country, we have IRC code 103, 2012, which provides guidelines for providing pedestrian infrastructure in our country. So before proceeding further, I wanted to go into the guidelines given in IRC 103, because that is fundamentally the code which we follow while providing the infrastructure for pedestrians. So I went through that. Actually, in the process of preparation of this particular lecture, I have gone through a lot of literature. I have gone through ASTO Guide for Pedestrians. I have gone through New Zealand's Guide for Pedestrians. I have seen what is the status of pedestrians in Hong Kong, in Singapore, and so many other material I have gone through. In fact, I was really puzzled how to combine all those matter into a single lecture. So I had to sift through a lot of material. So now I thought, first of all, let us see what our Indian code says. Now, IRC defines pedestrian. This matter I have taken directly from the code. Normally, I don't write matter like this in my slides. Normally, I write only bullet points and I explain them. But now I want to bring to the notice of all the members what is there in the code. That's why I have taken whatever matter is there in the code verbatim and I have put it in my slide. IRC 103 defines pedestrian like this. Pedestrian is the term which includes people who walk, sit, stand in public spaces, or use a mobility aid like walking stick, crutches, or wheelchair, be they children, teenagers, adults, elderly persons, persons with disabilities, workers, residents, shoppers, or people watchers. You see, this is the definition of pedestrian as per IRC code 103. All these classes are considered as pedestrians and these guidelines are prepared to provide the required infrastructure for them. This is the preamble of IRC 103. Pedestrian-oriented design is accessible design for all people. I want all the members to remember this last word about pedestrian. Pedestrians can be people watchers also. Now, what are the principles based on which IRC 103 gives the guidelines for pedestrian infrastructure? Of course, when I say pedestrian infrastructure, what I mean is what kind of infrastructure we are providing for the pedestrians who walk along the road, because there are two kinds of pedestrian movements. One is pedestrians walking along the road. So for pedestrians walking along the road, we provide footpaths, all of you know. The other movement of the pedestrian is across the road, pedestrians who want to cross the road. So for people who want to cross the road, we provide zebra crossing or we provide foot over bridge or we may provide subway under the ground line. So these are the two kinds of pedestrian infrastructure facilities what we normally provide. So for these facilities, some guidelines are given in IRC 103. For giving those guidelines, the principles what the people who have framed those guidelines, what principles those people have followed, they have given in the code itself. These are the principles. I don't read all the principles because it takes a lot of time. The first thing is pedestrian facilities should be planned in an integrated manner so as to ensure a continuous pedestrian flow. Please keep in mind this point, continuous pedestrian flow. That is one of the guiding principles. It should be useful, therefore, to look at pedestrian needs for an area as a whole and prepare an overall strategic plan. Of course, it is everybody knows. The basic aim should be to reduce pedestrian conflicts with vehicular traffic to the minimum. Everybody understands this also. Effort should be made to create such conditions that pedestrians are not forced to walk in unsafe circumstances. And the motorists respect the position of pedestrian. When they say motorists respect the position of pedestrian, there is an underlying principle that pedestrians must be given preference over motorized traffic. But how far that is reflecting in reality, we'll see. While planning, the convenience of pedestrians should be a paramount consideration. Convenience. So like that, these are the guidelines what the IRC 103 has kept as the basis for preparing the infrastructural specifications, either for footpaths or for crossings or for signals, whatever it may be. Now I want to look at last but one point. Above all, regular maintenance of all facilities and design elements should be undertaken to maintain accessibility, reliability, usability, safety, and continuity. So they say that safety and continuity, comfort of the pedestrian are paramount importance. These are the guidelines. Okay. Now, when we talk of any facility, normally in transportation engineering, we have a concept called level of service. Level of service is a concept which is normally related to vehicular traffic. Of course, we have level of service for pedestrians also. The people in transportation engineering profession may be knowing. We say that level of service is a qualitative parameter reflecting what kind of service the road is offering to the vehicles. Vehicles have got 6 levels of service, A, B, C, D, E, F. A is the highest level of service, where the vehicles are free to go with their own speed, where the vehicle is not affected by the presence of other vehicles, where there are no restrictions for the freedom of the driver to maneuver. So that is the highest level of service A. Then as the vehicles, more and more vehicles come onto the road, slowly the level of service of the road comes down. From A to B, it drops, B to C, C to D, like that it goes down. Finally, we come to level of service F, which is a failure level, where the entire traffic comes to a standstill. Traffic jams occur, which is an unstable situation. Similar to vehicular traffic, even for pedestrian traffic also, levels of service are defined in IRC. Of course, this is a common practice worldwide. Here also we have 6 levels of service, starting from A to F. You can see here, LOSA, level of service A, is a pedestrian environment where ideal pedestrian conditions exist and the factors that negatively affect pedestrian LOS are minimal. Now, this is the definition given by IRC code for level of service A. Now, what this statement states is, it is almost ideal pedestrian condition. The factors that are negatively affecting pedestrians' level of service are minimal. So what factors affect pedestrians' environment? The obstructions while walking in the footpath, uneven surface, inadequate width of footpath, or improper lighting, or maybe not having footpath at all, not having proper signs. Like that, there can be many conditions which may affect the safety of the pedestrian, which may affect the comfort of the pedestrian. So what this statement says is, at level of service A, these negative elements are minimal. The code is not saying that negative elements are absent. They are minimal. Okay. Next comes level of service B. So it is slightly lower than level of service A. At this point, I want to emphasize, that's why I'm stressing more on this. Level of service B indicates the reasonable pedestrian conditions. You please follow the definition. It indicates reasonable pedestrian conditions exist, but a small number of factors impact pedestrian safety and comfort. So level of service B is that condition of the footpath where certain reasonable conditions for the pedestrians exist, but there are also a number of factors which affect pedestrian safety and comfort. As level of service A is the ideal condition, level of service B is an acceptable standard. This is the statement what I found in IRC code 103, which I could not digest. Say level of service A is ideal, and in level of service B, the code itself says that there are certain number of factors which impact pedestrian safety and comfort. But then it says that level of service B is an acceptable standard. How can it be? Is it not contradictory? The code started with the preamble that the code would like to aim at creating facilities which promote pedestrians' safety, pedestrians' comfort, continuity for the pedestrian, convenience to the pedestrian. But here at level of service B, there can be certain factors which affect the comfort and safety of the pedestrian, but still the code says this is acceptable. Now, I think there is some kind of contradiction here. Like that, all those levels are defined, okay? Now I'll go to the next slide. Following this, what the code says is, footpaths, this is not my own language. I have taken this matter from IRC 103 code. What the code says is, footpath should be normally designed for a pedestrian level of service B, thereby providing wide pedestrian facilities for pleasant and comfortable walking. Now, don't you think this statement is contradictory? The code says that we should provide a level of service B, but at the same time, it says that thereby providing wide pedestrian facilities for pleasant and comfortable walking. So when there are elements which affect comfort and safety of the pedestrians, as just now we have seen in the definition of level of service B, how can the pedestrians have pleasant and comfortable walking when you provide level of service B? So this is another question which I have in my mind. Say, I'm not doubting the wisdom of the people who have framed the code. I have a lot of respect for them because the committee consists of great academicians from higher institutions of the country, officials from the Ministry of Transport and Highways, officials from R&B departments, various engineering departments. So it is not a single person who has written the code. It's a group of people who have sat together with their collective wisdom. They have prepared this code. So I am not doubting their knowledge. I am not doubting their integrity. I am not doubting their capabilities. But I am not able to understand why this contradiction. When the level of service A is defined, why the code is saying that footpath should be designed for level of service B, where already there is a compromise on the comfort and safety of the pedestrian. Now, further, under resource constraint, next sentence, level of service C can be adapted for deciding width of footpath. Now, this is another compromise. We always have resource constraint. In fact, that is the biggest constraint what the engineers face. For any project, resource constraint is the major constraint. So obviously, when the code says provide level of service B, and then it says if you have resource constraint, then you can provide level of service C. Then what is the ultimate point? Ultimately, the code is saying you provide level of service C for the pedestrians. How far it is justifiable? How far it is acceptable? I think I may be wrong in my understanding. And I want all the participants, all the people in the August gathering of this meeting to ponder over this. So now, stating this, they said that the minimum width of the footpath should be 1.8 meters. And then the code also gives you, if it is 1.8 meters, how many people can walk in one direction maximum per hour. And if people are walking in both directions, how many people can walk per hour? So this is called capacity of the footpath. You can see in table 1, 1.8 meters footpath, 1.8 meters footpath. If people are walking in both directions, if you want to provide level of service B, the maximum number of people per hour walking in both directions will be 1350. If people are walking in only one direction, then for level of service B, 1.8 meters wide road can accommodate 20-25 pedestrians per hour in one direction. Like that, we have the capacities. I don't want to read all the numbers. It is obvious that as the width increases, you can accommodate more and more number of people per hour. But what struck me when I looked at the table is, at least for theory's sake, there is no level of service A. It started with level of service B for pedestrians. Okay, the code says that you provide level of service B, and if you have constraint, you provide level of service C. Okay, at least what, if possible, what can be the value for level of service A? It is not mentioned. Now, this is one point what I wondered. This is one point what I could not digest. Because in the preamble of the code said that they want to provide comfortable, safe, convenient, continuous, pleasant environment for pedestrians. And when you are making such compromises, how can a pedestrian can have pleasant experience on the roads? Now, so far we discussed about the footpaths. Now let us come to the crossings. The code says, of course, in crossing, as I already told you, there can be different levels of crossing. Crossing at the road level, crossing at a higher level, or crossing at a lower level. Now, crossing at the road level is normally called as a zebra crossing, where the markings are there with white paint. Now, a zebra crossing also has got certain specifications as per the code. You see, a zebra crossing should have markings, and it should have embossed texture for easy detection by persons with vision impairment. Thermoplastic paint with plus 5 mm embossed texture should be used. And then for the vehicles which are approaching, there should be a slightly raised surface at the crossing. That means the zebra crossing should have a higher level compared to the normal level of the road. That's called a tabletop. So tabletop zebra crossings must be there. And then when the zebra crossing comes and touches the other side of the road, footpath, there should be some kind of a inclination or ramp-like structure so that people with disabilities can move on to the footpath easily. These figures are also I have taken from IRC code. You can very clearly see these figures are not from our country. The first photograph is not from our country. The second is, of course, it is a sketch. Now, these are the figures. Now, the point what I would like to tell you is, code gives you some specifications. Code talks about something. Code also talks about people crossing the road when there is a median. So when there is a median, what code says is, the median should offer some space for the people so that when they are crossing the road, if they are not able to cross the entire road at single stretch, whenever there is an uncontrolled crossing, like there is no signal, let us say there is no police person, there is no pelican signal. So what people do is, whenever they get a gap, they cross half the road, they wait at the middle of the road, and then they cross the other half whenever they get the opportunity or chance. So if that is the case, the code says that there should be adequate space at the median to accommodate the pedestrians to wait. That is called pedestrian refuse space. For pedestrian refuse space also, some specifications are given. As I told you, I am not interested in numbers. I don't go into numbers. I only talk about the philosophy and concept. So this is what the code says. The code also says the most pedestrians consider that the shortest and quickest way to cross the road is at grade. That means at the road level itself. Majority of the pedestrians prefer to cross the road at the road level itself, even if you provide FOB, foot over bridge. Many people may not be willing to use the FOB because of so many reasons. Because the way in which we build the FOBs, the rise of the steps is too high. Elderly people cannot climb that. We provide too steep steps. People who are carrying the luggage cannot climb over the foot over bridges. Elderly people cannot climb over foot over bridges. Or if you go for subways, that means providing crossing below the road level. I think many of the veterans who are present in the meeting today may remember that even in Hyderabad, we had pedestrian subways. I remember 25 years back, we had pedestrian subway at Koti. We had pedestrian subway at RTC Crossroads. Of course, now they are closed. And 25 to 30 years back, pedestrian subways were very popular in Chennai, Madras, especially in Mount Road. At that time, people used to make use of the pedestrian subways very effectively. But pedestrian subways are not preferred by people because of several reasons. They are badly lit. There is no lighting. There are fears, especially for women and girl. Some fears are real, some imaginary. Being attacked by somebody because of the bad light. So these are the reasons why people don't use either underground facility or foot-over bridges. But we say, we have provided FOBs, why do you complain? Now the code itself says that most of the pedestrians consider the shortest way to cross a road is at grade crossing. Now this is not only the problem in our country, even in other countries also this is the problem. If time permits, I will also touch upon the topic. Okay. Now space standards are also given for the pedestrians. Now if level of service A is to be provided, each pedestrian should have 4.9 square meters space for himself. Like that, almost 5 square meters. Like that, as the space per pedestrian goes on decreasing, the level of service also decreases. So these are all codal provisions. So we have a code. The code provides certain specifications, but what is the reality? So welcome to reality. So this is one of the very provocative statements. In the Western world, the driver stops the vehicle and allows the pedestrian to cross. And in India, pedestrian stops and allows the vehicle to pass. That means what? We have trained our citizens to be second-class road users in their own country. Of course, it is hurting, but it is the reality. Now you see, denizens lament. I think I will take this to somewhere else. Okay. Denizens lament paucity of pedestrian crossings in Hyderabad. This is a newspaper article in the month of July. You can see this is a pedestrians struggling to cross the road in the absence of zebra crossing near Liberty Junction in Hyderabad. Who are in whose way? Are pedestrians in the way of vehicles, or are vehicles are in the way of pedestrians? Pedestrians are crossing the road, they are right in the middle of the road, vehicles are zooming past. What kind of situation is this? Now here comes one statement from Riya Kapoor, one of the Indian architects and urban planners. She says, in India, an experience as simple as pedestrian walking has the potential to be fatal. I hope everybody agrees with that. Now this is the reality. Walking in Indian cities, a daily agony for millions. It is again an article from Hindu. The photograph is courtesy of Hindu paper. You see an old woman struggling to cross the road. Of course, there may be some pedestrian crossing somewhere else, maybe 1 kilometer away. Now, why she is risking her life to cross the road? Unless the zebra crossing or whatever crossing facility is provided is very far off from the location where people want to cross the road, or maybe there is total absence of crossing itself. So this is where we as engineers fail to see the perception of the people. whenever we design the roads, we provide the crossings as per our convenience, not as per the desire and wish of the people. See, I am not saying these words to hurt anybody, to hurt the sentiments of the engineer. I am stating we, because we have constraints. So many constraints in the field, right? Now, would you send your child to walk to school on Indian roads? If not, why are we designing cities that make this impossible? See, it is a very simple matter. Sending the children to school. Can you send your child to school on walk? I am afraid most of the parents say no to this question. Then if that is the case, why are we designing cities that make it impossible to send the children to school on foot? You see, this is a photograph from Madurai, again courtesy to Hindu. School children waiting in the middle of the road, find a gap in the stream of traffic to cross the road. This is a very common sight in most of the Indian cities. Small children are running in front of the speedy vehicles, risking their lives in order to go to school. Now, is this what the code says? Comfortable, pleasant, convenient, enjoyable infrastructure for pedestrians? Then what is that the code says? What is that we have provided? Now, this is again a scene from Mehdipatnam bus stop in Hyderabad. You can see PV Narasimha Rao Expressway above that. On the other side, you can see the Mehdipatnam bus stop. You see the people crossing the road. There is no zebra crossing. There are no markings. Nothing to guide the pedestrians. Creating streets that are safe, navigable, and accessible for everyone, no matter of their age, income, or physical ability, is one of the city's most important yet most overlooked responsibilities. Now, this is the reality. This is the reality. Now, so far, I talked about people people walking along the road, people crossing the road. Okay, whatever I have shown you, those are all the pictures of people crossing the road. Children crossing the road, an old woman climbing the median to cross the road. Here, the commuters from the bus stop crossing the road. Now, what about people walking along the road? Now, you see, this is one of the footpaths in one of the Indian cities. Now, the code says that we should provide continuous footpaths which are comfortable and enjoyable and pleasant. The picture is obvious. This is the state of footpath in some other city. Of course, this is a very common sight in almost all the cities. You see, what is the state of footpath? This is not continuous also. The stops here. Whatever footpath is available, that is occupied. And then whatever footpath remains, this is broken tiles, completely unusable condition. Now, is this what the code says? Now, you see, this is the footpath where people are walking, not even 1.8 meters wide, which is the minimum footpath width recommended. That's why people are walking on the road, risking their lives. So, this is also one of the Indian cities. Now, you see this. These women are walking on the carriageway where the vehicles are expected to move. Why? Because the entire footpath is occupied by vendors, street vendors. There are obstructions on the footpath. They cannot walk on the footpaths. Then what happened to the guidelines and principles which we have taken as the basis for providing the urban infrastructure for pedestrians? Now, this is from Hyderabad, from one place. You can see there is no footpath at all. There is no footpath. Actually, vehicles are parked here on the side of the road. People are walking behind the parked vehicles, sharing the road space with bus, car, auto rickshaw, everything else. So this is the reality. This is the reality what we are facing in our cities. Why this is happening? In one of the studies conducted in 2021 in 3 small Indian cities, it is stated that a dedicated space for pedestrians, bicycles, and public transport is acceptable as long as car traffic is not adversely affected. You see this statement. This is the irony. All our planning, all our engineering is vehicle centric, is car centric, is motorized traffic centric. Our preference is for cars. As long as the car traffic is not adversely affected, we don't mind providing dedicated space for pedestrians, cycles, and public transport. That means our priority is cars. That is the most unfortunate state of affairs. Now, another statement from another report. City planners and engineers continue to practice the conventional traffic-oriented approach, which is aimed at maximizing network capacity, maximizing traffic volumes, and maximizing travel speed. We want to maximize the speed of the vehicles. We want to maximize the throughput, number of vehicles moving in the road per hour. This is in conflict with the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. Because the Sustainable Development Goals aim at walkable cities. They emphasize more on space for people, not for vehicles. Now, there is also another thing called last mile connectivity. That means normally in order to reduce the traffic on the roads, we go for public transport systems like metro in Hyderabad. But people who use metro, ultimately they get down at some point. After they get down from metro, they have to come onto the road. They become pedestrians. So in the beginning, they are pedestrians. At the end, they are pedestrians. So what kind of pedestrian facilities we are providing at the end of the metro? Are we providing that last mile connectivity properly? Now, this is again one article from newspapers published recently in July 2025. Pedestrians have tough time crossing road from metro stations in city. Of course, here Rasulpura metro station is given as an example where people have problem to cross the road once they get down from the metro station. Okay. Now, at KPHB metro station also, pedestrians are facing problems. They don't have proper facilities because the closest pedestrian crossing is very far away from the metro station. So, these are the problems what everybody knows. Actually, what I am presenting is not new. All of you know that. But I want to ignite the simple thought. Why is it so? Why the pedestrians are neglected like this? Are they secondary grade citizens in their own country? Okay. Why not our planning shifts? Why not our planning changes? I think I'm taking a lot of time. I will skip some of the slides. Okay. Now, actually, in many of the cities, skywalks are also used for pedestrians. Skywalks means people need not walk on the roads. They will enter a building, and from one building to the other building, way is built so that pedestrians can walk through the buildings. They don't walk on the roads. These are called skywalks. You can see here, Kuala Lumpur's skywalk. This is the skywalk. You see, this goes to this building. From there, that goes somewhere else. You see, this is another skywalk. This is the jaywalk in Hong Kong. Now, there is a lot of hue and cry over these skywalks. People don't want to use these skywalks. In America also, skywalks are very famous. Skywalks are very popular in America also. Okay. But why people are against skywalks? In America also, skywalks are now pulled down and they are building crossing at the road level because people are not willing to go by skywalks. Going by skywalk is as good as going on car in a street. People have lost touch with the street life. Now I want you to recall or recollect one word which I have shown in my first slide when the definition of pedestrian is given in IRC code. A pedestrian can be a people watcher also. That means what? So normally in transportation engineering, we have, I think it is 5:15. I will close within 5 or 10 minutes because there are a lot of material is to be covered anyway. So in transportation engineering, we say that any trip has got a purpose. That means people travel for some purpose. If I go by auto, I have a purpose. I have to attend my work. I have to attend to some market, or I have to go to some cinema. Or if I go by my two-wheeler, I'll be going to my office, which is nothing but an official working trip. If I go to school, it is an educational trip. I may go to a movie, it is a recreational trip. If I go to my friend's house, it is a social trip. Like that, any trip has got a purpose. But walking need not have a purpose. Simply I can go on street, watching the people, enjoying the scenery. So this happens in other countries, and this used to be the state of affairs in our own country also. I hope many people might remember their childhood memories. I think now there are many veterans, there are many old people here. If you recollect your childhood memories or adolescence memory when you are 16 years of age, I can tell you my experience when I was 16 years old. When my mother wanted me to bring vegetables from the market, I used to carry a bag. I used to go to vegetable market by walk. I never had the fear of some vehicle coming and hitting me. There was no hustle bustle, there was no hurry. Leisurely, I used to stroll in the streets. I used to go to market. There I may come across some neighborhood friend. We both go to a nearby coffee shop. We sit there for half an hour. We talk about movies. We talk about our interest. We have good times. And then I can go to the market. I purchase the vegetables. I normally would walk home. So this was my childhood memory, which I still remember, which I still cherish. So that was a beautiful memory. So walking is a pleasant activity. So that is what the code also says. The code also has behind when it says walking must be enjoyable. There can be people watchers. People can simply walk for the pleasure of walking, which we have forgotten. The same sentiment is echoed by Professor Anthony Bing Ling Chiong, who is the Secretary for Transport and Housing in Hong Kong government. In a conference conducted in 7th May 2013 with the theme of Walkable City and Living Streets, he says, when I was a young boy, I lived in Wan Chai. I went to school by walking. I walked to the City Hall Library every Saturday. I walked to the Causeway Bay and Happy Valley for leisure and shopping. Road traffic then was not as busy as now. I'm not advocating a simple return to the past, but we need a more balanced mobility landscape with good public transport access and pedestrian walkability. Walking enables us to be more observant of our interesting street scenes and to have a closer encounter with the people on streets, a social experience that traveling by cars cannot provide. This is my whole point. Walking provides you with an interesting experience of observing street scenes and have a close encounter with people on streets. It is a social experience which traveling by cars cannot provide. All of us have similar childhood uh, experiences. Of course, I have many more slides. I think the time is running out. Just I will show you what Janet Sadiq has achieved in New York, which we can also achieve if we want in our cities. See, this is the Herald Square in New York City. Now, this is before Janet Sadiq, as Transport Commissioner, converted the space into pedestrian space. This was the scenario before, Herald Square before. And the right side picture is the Herald Square after it was converted into a pedestrian space. Of course, there is space for vehicular traffic also. But you see the picture afterwards, you see the picture before. You see here, it is full of life. It is full of vibrancy. It is full of joy, where people are having leisurely stroll, where people are enjoying their cup of coffee, where people are sitting leisurely and looking at things. Now, is it not an enjoyable space? Don't we need that spaces in our cities? Is it not our right as pedestrians to have that kind of facility on our streets? So that is the whole point. Now I would conclude again with some of the very, very thought-provoking quotations, very igniting, food for thought. Walkability is a word that did not exist just 20 years ago. We made walking so unnatural that we had to invent a word to describe what we were missing. This is the statement by Dan Burden, Director of Innovation and Inspiration at Blue Zones 29. Now, Paul Bedford, City Toronto Planning Director, he says, in a quality city, a person should be able to live their entire life without a car and not feel deprived. A city should offer a chance for a person to live entire life without a car and without having the guilty feeling that I did not have a car. Now, that is a good city. That is what he means. Now, Janet Sadiq, again, I truly believe that if you can change the street, you can change the world. A quotation with very deep meaning. Now, Jeff Speck, one of the wonderful quotations by Jeff Speck again in Walkable City. He says, the pedestrian is an extremely fragile species, the canary in the coal mine of urban livability. So, this is what I wanted to say. We are losing life as pedestrians. When we go on to the streets, we are struggling to reach our destination. There is no chance of enjoyment. There is no chance of pleasure. There is no chance of enjoying the beauty around us. There is no chance of enjoying the scenery of the urban landscape. The only thing is whether we can reach the destination or not safely. That is the only concern that we have. So, I dedicate my lecture to all the Indian pedestrians, as you can see in this picture, waiting at the middle of the road, hoping for better and safer facilities. I end my lecture with a quote from Enrique Peñalosa, the former mayor of Bogota, Colombia, which is famous for its bus rapid transportation system. He gives a wonderful statement. I quote, God made us walking animals, pedestrians. As a fish needs to swim, a bird to fly, a deer to run, we need to walk, not in order to survive, but to be happy. With this, once again, thanking all of you, once again, saluting my great Guru, Professor RAGHAVACHARI, I conclude my lecture. Now it is time for interaction. If time permits, I don't say questions and answers. Why? Because I may not be having answers to all the questions. I am not omniscient. Just I have ignited a thought. Just I raised a few points for your thinking. So there ends my lecture. Now my salutations to Dr. S. Nagabhushan Rao Garu, my other guru also. He is also present here. So I conclude my lecture. I thank the IEI Telangana Center for giving me this great opportunity. Thank you, sir. If there is any interaction, anybody wants to have some kind of interaction, I will be very happy.
Good evening, sir. Highly appreciable talk, sir. No, really, our guru, Navinandar also came. And Raghavu Sahib, when he's doing a survey in Secunderabad on the new flyover which is constructed in 1984, I was there. I was in B second year. Raghavu Sahib stand on the road and he calculating the vehicles. I was shocked. So there's this people, such eminent persons like that. And sir, you quoted our example, Rasulpura. Same in our Khartab also, only one get down. Ante దిగడానికి దారి ఒకటే ఉంది. Other side it will be only one side.
Yes,
Thank you, sir. Very good talk. I'm Professor Ramna.
Sir, namaste, sir. G.K. Rao garu, Kondalrao, sir.
నమస్కారం సార్, బాగున్నారండి?
Fine, sir. Fine, sir.
చాలా మంచి ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ అండి. మనకు ఏపీఎస్పీ ప్రాజెక్ట్ లో మీరు ఎక్స్టర్నల్ ఎవాల్యుయేటర్ గా వచ్చారు మా ట్రాఫిక్ అండ్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్టేషన్ స్టడీస్ కు. సో వీ హ్యాడ్ వెరీ ఎక్సలెంట్ ఎక్స్పీరియన్స్ విత్ యూ. అండ్ ఇవాళ మీరు ఇచ్చిన ప్రెజెంటేషన్ కూడా చాలా బాగుంది, చాలా ఇన్సైట్ఫుల్ అండ్ ఎన్లైటనింగ్ ప్రెజెంటేషన్. పర్టికులర్లీ ఏదైతే నాన్ మోటరైడ్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ ఇన్ అకార్డెన్స్ విత్ నేషనల్ అర్బన్ ట్రాన్స్పోర్ట్ పాలసీ 2006 ఏదైతే ఉందో అది మనం ఆల్మోస్ట్ మర్చిపోయినట్టుంది. ఎందుకంటే ఉన్న రోడ్స్ ను మనం పెడెస్ట్రియన్ ఫ్రెండ్లీ చేయడం బదులు ఉన్న ఫుట్ పాత్స్ ఇట్లాంటివి కూడా మనం తీసేస్తున్నాము. ఇట్స్ మోస్ట్ అన్ఫార్చునేట్. సో యువర్ టుడేస్ ప్రెజెంటేషన్ ఇస్ అ క్లారియన్ కాల్ ఫర్ రీజనరేటింగ్ అవర్ పెడెస్ట్రియన్ ఇన్ఫ్రాస్ట్రక్చర్.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the wonderful presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Nice, Bhanumurthy. I'm sorry that I could not join in time because of some exigency. Are you able to hear me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. There was some emergency, so I had to attend my wife's health and all that. So I joined but late. But gist of your presentation I could grasp, and absolutely it's all the reality and what's happening now. And pedestrians are the least preferred in a traffic and transportation area in our most of our cities. So your presentation definitely has to give a thought-provokingness for the people who are concerned, and I hope that it will be. And really, your presentation is a homage to our Guruji, Sri RAGHAVACHARI. Thank you very much, Bhanumurthy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Namaste, sir.
Sir, good evening, sir. I'm Professor Devakumar. Sir, it was a very nice lecture, and even though I'm not belong to civil engineering, it went on with a clear layman's understandable sessions are there with good pictorial representations and depicting all the news articles. Really very interesting. All the issues we are facing day in day out in our life. So as you are presenting, everything is we are experiencing. It is as if we are using it every day at the road, and we are unfortunately we are facing all the difficulties. Sir, one basic question I would like to ask. Maybe you can answer. So. As a pedestrian, on which side of the road we need to walk?
Yeah.
You're a transport expert, I know. Just is it looks a silly question, but it's a pertinent for this session.
Thank you, Dev. Thank you for joining. Sir, for the sake of other members who have joined late, I'm happy to introduce my colleague, my close friend, Dr. Dev Kumar, who is the chairman of AP Institute of Engineers state chapter. So thank you there for your question. This question you also asked me some time back. Now, my answer is, your question is on which side the pedestrian should walk.
Yes,
my
sir.
question is, whatever side he pleases to walk. Now, the entire point of my lecture is to make the walking a pleasant activity. So that's why even while defining the levels of service, two situations are taken in code also. One situation is on footpath pedestrians walking in one direction only. or pedestrians walking in both directions? Because it all depends on what side you have the work when you walk on the roads. We have rule for vehicles. The vehicles must travel only on the left side of the road. But for pedestrians, as far as my knowledge goes, there is no such rule that pedestrians should walk only on the left side footpath of the road. There is no such rule because pedestrians can have business or activity or purpose, or simply they would like to walk on any side of the road. So there is no hard and fast rule that pedestrians should walk only on this side of the road. My knowledge goes.
ఒక్క నిమిషం ఆగు మీటింగ్ లో ఉన్నాం.
So that is what I understand. That is what my knowledge is. And then if I am wrong, if somebody would like to correct me, welcome.
So thank you, sir, for your answer. Really, it's justifiable. So out of curiosity, just I searched for in Google. It has given different answer. Maybe some others can also explore that with the time.
Yes. Now my entire point is, walking is an experience in itself. Now, I think within just I will take 1 or 2 minutes to share with you.
Okay, sir.
Myself and Dr. Nagbhushan Rao sir, we had a very pleasant experience of walking, I think almost more than 10 kilometers in Berlin city sometime back in the year 2007, if I remember rightly. We walked for 10 kilometers in Berlin city in the evening. And that was a very pleasant walk. We had a very pleasant walk. So we enjoyed our walking like anything. Of course, over a distance of 10 kilometers, we have visited so many memorials, so many museums and all those things. And similarly, I had the experience of walking on Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. It was one of the most memorable experiences in my life, which I cherish for my entire life. It was a wonderful evening, almost 3 hours walk I had. And I walked in some of the European cities also. In Paris, I walked a lot. It was a very pleasant activity walking in those cities. In Switzerland, I had a walk. Now, what I mean to say is, when walking was such a kind of wonderful experience in those cities itself, people are complaining that still they have to improve the walking standards. Still they have to improve the walking infrastructure. Now, then what should be our plight? We are nowhere near to them. We are treated as, that is the point what I said. Pedestrian is treated as a second-class citizen in his own country. Second-class road user. Whereas in other countries, pedestrian is given highest priority on roads. Of course, even though their planning is also vehicle-centric, pedestrian is given due respect, pedestrian is given due place. So my whole point is, walking is not just a mode of transport. It is an experience of life, which we should preserve. Of course, in Hyderabad also, I think long back, more than 20 years back, our Kondalav sir must be knowing, and all others must be knowing. Dr. Anuradha Reddy, she was working on this walkable cities, something like that, heritage walks, something they were being conducted at the time. There was a plan for pedestrianizing Charminar area some 25 years back. So many people have fought for walkable cities, livable cities. But now again, these concepts are gaining momentum because of sustainability, because of SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, etc. So my only idea is to make the walking as a pleasant experience once again. Thank you.
Sir, good evening, sir. This is Dr. Ashok.
Sir, good evening, sir.
Sir, is there any age range for the pedestrians? Number one, to walk on the roads. And second question, sir, to use, as you say, to experience walking in colonies, at least gated communities, some people will be walking along with their pet dogs. They know their owners, they know their dog will behave properly, but others will not know now. So what are the rights in these two aspects? One is, I asked about age.
Yes.
Perhaps we cannot allow 2 years boy or kid to walk on the pedestrian footpath, isn't it, sir? So like that, what is the maximum age also?
Actually, as such, there are no limitations, sir. There are no specified limitations, but obviously a 2 years child is, he himself cannot come onto the road. Obviously, his parents will accompany him. That is the common experience. No parent will leave a 2-year child to walk on the road. So normally children are accompanied by elders till they attain some age where they can walk on the roads on their own.
Sir, whether that age is specified by the court.
There is no such limit that there is no such, as far as my knowledge goes, sir, there is no such limit that pedestrians minimum age is so and so, maximum age is so and so. And when the people are, say, too small, 1 year old, 2 years old, or 3 years old, normally their parents or their relatives or somebody will accompany them. But when people are elderly, when they become old, when they themselves cannot walk, then they may resort to some kind of support like crutches, or they may resort to wheelchair. When they are in wheelchair, they themselves may use the wheelchair, or they may need a helper. For that, we have standards. So if a helper is there for a person with a wheelchair, what should be the space required for that person? We have standards. We have standard spaces given, but no age limit. There is nothing like that. If you reach an age of 90 years, you should not come onto the road. There is no rule like that. Any age.
Okay, sir, as it is endowment lecture, sir, we will limit the questions, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Right. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Professor Bhanumurthy Garu, your lecture is very interesting and inspiring, and the lecture is full of excellent quotations, sir. So very rare quotations we got for different terms like car and other things, sir. And you have given the guidelines for payment, which are safe, serviceable, reliable, like that. And all the guidelines are excellent, sir. Different levels of services also you have mentioned, sir. So far, we don't know just a term only. We know that is the safety like that, but you have mentioned different levels. And which are the levels acceptable? There are higher standards, but we are also limiting the lower standards also, how they are correct, like that also you have given the information, sir. So anyhow, your lecture is very useful for all of us, and it is a real homage for our Guru, Professor S. RAGHAVACHARI Garu. And I am very happy to say another thing also, sir. It is in line with the theme of this Independence Day. That is the Naya Bharat, New India. So in this one, I have observed that we have to we have to follow these guidelines and come with safer pedestrian journeys. So whenever he is walking, he has to feel safe. And as you told, the parents also have to feel safety about their children whenever they are going onto the roads. So up to that level, we have to develop in line with the theme given by the government of India on this Independence Day, sir. So thank you. So once again, I extend my sincere and profound thanks on behalf of IEI and on my own behalf for you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Now sir. Now I request Dr. K. Sitaram Babu Garu, Honorary Secretary, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. To the keynote speaker, P.R. Bhanumurthy Garu, Dr. P.R. Bhanumurthy Garu is the Professor of Civil Engineering and Director, Industrial Consultant Services, sir. And also thank the Chairman and the convener for this event who making such a wonderful event, sir. before I get into the thanking everyone, also acknowledge some of the members. It's one of the very good strengths that we have today. More than 45 people are part of this meeting, sir, of this webinar. I acknowledge some of the prominent personalities that are part of this. Dr. Mohammad Mohiddin, Ravikant Garu, Srinivas Garu, Shyam Prasad Reddy Garu, KVR R.S. Murthy Garu, Kondai Garu, Rajashekar Reddy Garu, E. Rakesh Garu, P. Srinivas Reddy Garu, Sumana Shesham Garu, Parsuram Garu, Gopi Shetty Garu, Sambashivarao Garu, Annaji Rao Garu, Dr. Ashok Garu, Santosh Kumar Garu, Dr. Ashok Garu, Gopinath Garu, Dr. Nirmala Devi Garu, Haribabu Garu, Kondal Rao Garu, Yellaredi Garu, Nagabhushan Rao Garu, our tall figure of Institute of Engineers, past Vice President, and Kondai Garu, Kagender Garu, Pratap Babu Garu, Professor K. Madhavi Garu, and Mahesh Kumar Garu. Sir, with this, I thank one and all for having been part of this webinar, sir. Such a wonderful webinar. I thank one and all for having attended this webinar and making this a grand success. I request all of you to stand, sir. Now we will get into the national anthem, sir, please.
Janagana mana adhinayaka jaya he Bharat bhagya vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravida Utkala Vanga Vindhya Himachala Yamuna Ganga Uchchala Jaladhi Taranga तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष मागे गाहे तव जय गाथा जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे.
Thank you very much, sir, for all of you. See you, sir. See you all of you.
Thank you, sir. Same to you.